It is June 26, 2025, and there are reports of hypersonic orbs over New York. This is Inverted World Live. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. This is Inverted World Live, and I am your host, Shane Cashman. We're glad you're here. This is a call-in show. Our phone lines are open till midnight. We will take all your calls. We'll try to take all your calls. We usually have some people left over, but we get to you the next night. If you had a strange encounter with anything you just can't explain, or maybe you can explain it, we've gotten everything from missing time, portals, werewolves, cryptids, wendigos, flatland monsters, you name it. We want to hear about it. So please give us a call. It's audio only. The link to call in is pinned in the chat below on both Rumble and YouTube. So please give us a call. And honestly, if you also hear something on the show that you want to add to, if you heard another caller mention something that sparks an idea, give us a call. I am joined by Brandon. What's up?
What's up, Shane? What's up, guys? My name is Brandon Miner. I am your co-host for Inverted World Live. Let's get weird.
Let's do it. This is the end of our fourth week with the new schedule, huh?
Yep.
That's wild. Floating by. That's my own sort of missing time.
That was
flew by.
Episode 51, I believe, was our first one, and we are now
Yep.
on 66.
Wow. Incredible. Well, thank you all for liking, subscribing, sharing. It's been a huge boost, and we are so glad that you're here joining us. The phone calls have been amazing, and we're excited to see who we will talk to tonight. We'll get to your calls around 10:20, 10:30.
If you were with us last night, then you found out that Hitler is alive and well on Mars.
Yeah, he took a flying saucer. I thought most people knew that, honestly. I thought that was like in the encyclopedia.
Just common knowledge, yeah.
There are theories out there about if you believe in Mars, that there are people living in tunnels below Mars right now. You can go look that up. There's a guy talking about that and how they might be coming back at some point. Probably related to Elon, but who knows? What else do I have to do? Culture War. We got to shout out the Culture War.
Yeah, we should do that.
Let me do that. Let me get my little thing here that tells me. So our friends over at IRL and Culture War, Tim Pool and friends, they have a Culture War Live, 3 Culture War Live events coming up. And you can go to timcast.com, get your tickets. There's one Saturday, July 26th. That's 3 to 5 p.m. Saturday, August 2nd, 3 to 5 p.m. And Saturday, August 9th, 3 to 5 p.m. Those look like a lot of fun. I saw footage from the last one they did live. Looked like a great time. Culture War is
awesome.
always a fun show. So look that up. Go see them live. There's nothing better than being in person with an audience. It's the best.
And your boy will be in the house for all 3 shows helping Tim out, so come say what's up. We'll chill, talk conspiracies, Hitler on Mars, all that crap.
That's awesome. Man, I've been hearing a lot about Sergeant Peyton today from people. So I'm sure we'll talk to him again. But let's get into orbs, shall we? There are orbs. We got brand new reports of orbs flying over my home state of New York. Now, we got it here in local website from local radio station 101.5 WPDH, something I used to listen to. This is just from yesterday. New York State resident reports hypersonic orbs that traveled through the clouds. Let's get into it. Anyone see anything they can't explain? A resident living in New York's Upper Hudson Valley reported a strange sight flying in the sky late Saturday night. The person who filed the report even says the object was traveling through the clouds at a hypersonic rate of speed. Curious how he measured the hypersonic rate of speed. Yeah, 'cause that's pretty fast.
He eyeballed it.
He eyeballed it.
That's what most of the state troopers do out here.
Yeah, tell me about it. The sighting once again raises the question if the source is some sort of unidentified flying object or simply something like a military aircraft or naturally occurring phenomena. New York has a long history with unidentified flying objects, as the state ranks 5th overall for sightings across the United States, especially this area in general. And maybe after this, you can pull up images from the Pine Bush UFO Fair we can show people, which I reported from for the very first book of Inverted World Live. I continue. It's no secret New York, particularly the state's Hudson Valley area, has a long history with unexplained flying phenomena and other strange sightings. As stated many times, these observations of so-called UFOs can easily be explained as drones, military planes, communication satellites, or even a meteor burning up in the upper atmosphere, which is another story we'll be getting to soon. So, a resident living in Climax, New York, of all places, reported to the National Unidentified Flying Object Reporting Center that they witnessed an object traveling at a hypersonic rate of speed the night of June 21st. The report describes what they allegedly saw as, and this is a quote, orbs seen through cloud cover at incredible speeds. The witness says that for about an hour, they saw two white orbs through thick cloud cover, flying across the sky at an extremely fast rate of speed. The person says that this would continue every 5 to 10 minutes for roughly around an hour that night. The report says that the person witnessed the orbs start as one and then split off and make a U-turn through the sky. That is an interesting detail. Might remind you of some callers that have called into this show, seeing things split and mutate back into another. And then this article kind of gives a rundown of popular places in New York where you can people have seen UFOs. Some I won't go through the whole thing, but Poughkeepsie is one of them. Place I know quite well. Binghamton, Utica, Albany, and these are all like proper upstate. Not all the way upstate New York, but more upstate than where I'm from. I'm from the lower part of the Hudson Valley, about an hour south of Poughkeepsie. Rochester, Buffalo, all those are properly upstate New York. And then New York City, which has had many drone UFO sightings. There's even a video. Actually, this is reminding me of, you ever seen John Lennon talking about the UFO?
No.
There's a video over there of John Lennon in the city. He's standing on the roof talking about the UFO he saw in New York City. It's a good video. It's a short one. It's worth looking up at some point, everyone out there. But Pine Bush, New York is not on this list. They said Pine City, but Pine Bush is like the capital of UFO, alien, extraterrestrial stuff. They have a UFO museum there. And if you want, you can look up the UFO fair in Pine Bush. Any images from that is worth showing the people. This place has a long history of seeing things they can't explain. For those who've been following the inverted world since its inception, it was maybe my second or third story for the series. I went to Pine Bush, New York, and I interviewed a gentleman who had claimed to be abducted by aliens his whole life. His first abduction actually happened as a child. I believe he was 8 years old, and he was on the other side of the Hudson River, not in Pine Bush yet. He was in like Peekskill, which is known for, the legend is it's known for the yellow brick road that inspired the yellow brick road in Wizard of Oz. He claims to have been carried out of his bed, out of his window, and into the sky. And he says this sort of thing happened his whole life. He's got weird things on his body, like incision stuff. He thinks they put something in his head. I've referenced him sometimes when people call and talk about being abducted. And now we're looking at the UFO fair that happens in Pine Bush. This gentleman who I was just talking about eventually went to Pine Bush, moved there. Never told anybody about this experience through his whole life because it was very taboo. He's probably in his 60s or 70s now. But he noticed that people would constantly tell him this place is wild. He would always be approached by people telling him abduction stories. And he never, according to him, brought up the abduction stories. He felt like they just kind of intuitively knew that they should tell this guy that. So he actually started like a chapter of abductees in Pine Bush. And they have a bunch of people who show up like once a month. They talk about their abduction stories. He's very skeptical of people who claim to also be abducted. He says he can sniff them out real easily if they're a fraud. And but this fair happens annually, and it's no joke. They have a lot of people who come from MUFON. We had a caller the other day who said he has reached out to MUFON with certain stuff. MUFON collects a lot of evidence. They're like a privatized Men in Black situation. They travel the country, if not the world, and collect all of this like UFO data, a lot of paranormal stuff. It's a very interesting organization. And if anyone's ever in the area for the Pine Bush UFO Fair, highly recommend it. I had an ex-girlfriend from Pine Bush. And let me tell you, the UFO extraterrestrial lore is so deep there. She would get like physically ill from just thinking of aliens because she 100% believed she'd be abducted. We once sent a message to the aliens on a rocket out there in Pine Bush to try to stop them from abducting her. It didn't alleviate any fears whatsoever, but it's real out there. Like people 100% believe it. They have stories of these columns of fire coming down from the sky into an old cemetery that's just outside of Pine Bush. A lot of people seeing the triangle UFO that we talk about a lot in the show. Orbs, all types of weird stuff. It's got a very interesting history, and it's up there in the mountains just off the river. So I highly recommend people going and check out.
Seems completely legit.
Oh, it's legit, dude. Their museum is what's up. It is really wild. They walk you through the history of UFO stuff in general in the country, but also specifically to Pine Bush. It's great. I think it's actually fun. It was funded by the local government, and there was a lot of uproar about like, should we be funding this UFO museum? But it's become a tourist attraction, and I think people go there to try to get abducted. It's a really, really wild place. So with this orb story in New York, it's just one of many other orb stories. We've been seeing a lot of these orbs lately. You know, maybe he's seeing military stuff that, like the article says. Hard to say. It's his report is short and sweet. Most of it is quoted in the article I read. He says he saw something. You know, hypersonic means at least 5 times the speed of sound. So it's very interesting that he was able to gauge that from his eyes, like Brandon was saying. But people in this area see things all the time, constantly. And there are lots of military bases nearby. Stewart Airport isn't too far away, and there is a military section of that airport. It is like a regular domestic airport, but there is a military section there. And when I was a child in like 4th or 5th grade, they would bus us up there to watch the warplanes fly over our heads. It's probably some weird, propaganda thing they made us do to go check out these planes. It was wild. The sound was insane. But there is that, and I always consider that, and it's just one of a few in that area. West Point, like where I was from, is just a little south of there. So there's a lot of things that are military and things they might be developing in that area. But Pine Bush, for whatever reason, has stories dating back like into the 1700s that people just can't explain. So it's like that is a hotspot of crazy stuff. And I have talked to many, many, many people from that area who've seen things they just can't explain. People who are not into paranormal stuff, they really don't care about UFOs, but they've seen a lot of this stuff in the sky. So I wasn't too surprised when I saw orbs over New York in the Hudson Valley. There was, for those of you who also read that first Inverted World book, you might remember me interviewing the guy whose brother was assassinated by corrupt cops in Hell's Kitchen in the 70s. That guy also, he was the guy who worked at a toll booth on the river. On the river, he saw this giant UFO in like the 80s. Now, at that time, I will say he was on lots of substances.
But he was also assassinated?
His brother was.
Oh, his brother
was.
Okay, I
his brother was, yeah. And he spent a good portion of his life trying to rectify that. That's a crazy story. It's still on this channel. It's in 2 parts, narrated. Recommend listening to that one. It's one of my favorite ones. That one's called the Corpse in Hell's Kitchen, the corpse who danced in Hell's Kitchen. It danced in Hell's Kitchen because a random Irishman showed up to the police station to identify the body, who no one knew, and took the corpse out of the morgue and danced with it. And so when the source of my story showed up to identify his brother, they all said, "Who are you?" We already had his brother here, and the guy in the story said, "Well, I'm the only brother." So they're like, "Who's this guy who came in and like flipped tables over?" He was like mourning this death so much, he was weeping and dancing with the dead body. Crazy story, and it's connected to like the Irish mafia and all that stuff. But all that's to say is the brother who survived saw a really crazy UFO in that area as well. So shout out to New York. It's always good to hear crazy stories from New York. And on top of that, we can cut to this Meteor story.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I guess we'll start with the tweet that came out earlier. This is what alerted me to it. And for those who are just now joining us, thank you. We're so happy you're here. This is a call-in show. Phone lines are open. We'll get to your calls in about 10 or 15 minutes. The link to call in is pinned in the chat below on both Rumble and YouTube. It's audio only. You got a strange story you want to tell us about, give us a call. We want to hear about it. But this is now happening as well. Things are falling out of the sky left and right, people. I don't know what to tell you. We've got spheres, we've got orbs, and now we've got meteors. Now I will say, I think what the reports say, if you want to trust them, about 17 meteors hit the Earth a day, but most of those wind up in the ocean. So that they say that adds up to about a little over 6,000 a year. But now we have this. And this was I saw in Raw's Alerts, which it's got this cool little video with it. You can see, but it says, at this time, multiple fire departments are actively looking for possible crashed meteor or fireball that came out of the sky. Multiple fire departments are currently searching for what may have been a meteor crash. Reports began pouring in around noon on Thursday from residents across North Carolina, South Carolina, Atlanta, Tennessee, and parts of Florida. I just drove through most of those states, all describing a blazing fireball streaking across the sky. Witnesses said it looked like possibly a meteor or asteroid plummeting through the atmosphere. The fireball was most commonly spotted around 12:30 p.m., sparking a flurry of calls to local newsrooms and emergency services. So are you guys seeing this thing falling out of the sky? It's an interesting time to see things falling out of the sky. You know, we've seen nothing but footage of missiles going left and right all over the place. So with that in mind, we can then cut to this local report from Fox, Carolina, because it's worth watching this video with my new favorite screen grab. I think this is it right here. This is from the South Carolina Fox local station. Let's give a listen. You got a picture of a roof being hit.
This report isn't even giving me audio.
Yeah, it's all right. There is another one I wanted to listen to. I'm not sure where I put that one. Is it right there below? See below with the lady? Fact check? Yeah, the fact check one. Let's listen to this too.
Summer's here.
So while we talk over this ad, they were showing us images of the meteor going through a roof. That's where they found what happened. I believe that's in South Carolina. But I really want to hear from these people. There's a great little fact check on what this meteor was, because it caused a lot of concern.
So what, they give us the audio for the ad and nothing else. What's going on? Here we go.
Especially Fox Carolina senior investigative reporter Grace Runkle is joining us now with a fact check we really all
Please
need
pause
this
this.
afternoon. Grace.
Yeah, that's right. We're seeing so
Guys, this is my favorite thing. Fact check, false.
Let's go.
Not a plane crash, not a missile. Two things that, you know what, in this day and age, we have seen, unfortunately, a lot of.
Look, we don't know what it is, but we can tell you what it's not.
It's definitely not these two things. These other two things you've been seeing in the news for the last 2 years constantly, not those. It might be an alien or a meteor, but it's definitely not a plane crash, definitely not a missile.
No, we went out there and we looked.
Yeah.
Not a missile.
But now that they're saying it, I'm like, maybe it was.
Now, could it be that since there has been a massive uptick in plane crashes and missiles being launched, that they maybe just wanted to clear the air?
That's definitely what it is. They don't want people to think it's another Boeing door falling out of the sky. You know, it's
Every
not,
chance he gets, just
it's not Iran.
right in the chops,
Yeah.
Boeing.
Hey, you know what? Boeing really
Take it.
upset me. They've had a bad few years, and they got those astronauts caught up there stuck in fake space that Elon had to go capture from the room painted like the International
Katy
Space
Perry.
Station. But I love that. So let's hear what else I have to say.
Are you sure? I'm good with this.
You say Katy
many
Perry.
questions and lots of different theories all over social media. So we want to start going through some of those. So first off, right off the bat, we know a lot of people at first thought this was a plane crash, that light in the sky. And listening to scanner traffic earlier today, I was able to hear that many of those initial 911 calls coming in reported a possible plane crash, but now we know that was not the case. We also saw a lot of people speculating online that this was a missile, some sort of weapon. We know that is false too. The NASA ambassador for the upstate says looking at videos and images of the fireball, it appears that it was a small meteor, probably just a few inches wide when it came down. Now, more than 170 people have submitted formal complaints and formal reports to the American Meteor Society about the event.
You should have seen this coming and stopped this 2-inch meteor from falling into Georgia. How dare you?
Right?
I am disgusted.
I didn't know that there was this kind of population of people who are like meteor Karens. They're watching the skies. They're upset that the meteorologist didn't call this.
I want to talk to the meteor manager right now.
You let this fall to the sky, no warning. It's amazing. I love that.
Come on, people. It's a rock that came from space. Leave it alone.
Or is it? Or is it?
Well, let's see.
Let's see what else Grace Runkle has to
Let's see what
say.
she divulges next, huh?
Coming in from Georgia and South Carolina for the most part. So one question we still have is, where did it land? We're still working to get that
we know that
answer,
now,
but
clearly.
we have seen some reports.
I
From
think the
our
audio
sister
just
station
garbled. I'm
in
going to go back
Atlanta
to that after this so we can see the
investigators
house.
there are looking into possible roof damage from the event. But back in the upstate, we know that more than 2,000 people lost power around the same time
over
that the
a
fireball
rock.
was spotted.
See, that part's interesting to me. That part's interesting. That was
Now
the
I
most
have to
interesting
see
part.
the damage in the house, because if this
It's
thing
not
took
that
out
bad.
a power line,
It's not that bad. It doesn't look that bad.
from what I saw, it looked like somebody shot through a house
Right.
with a 45
Right.
FMJ.
Right. Not that bad. But
And you're telling me it took out power for 2,000 people.
right. Right.
Oh my
Is that a
God.
coincidence just in that area? See, that is interesting to me.
What's next, Grace?
What is
Duke
next?
Energy says they have no reason to believe that, quote, something extraterrestrial came into contact with their grid today, but
Why
they
is
also
that?
Except
have
for
not
the meteor.
identified a specific cause for that outage. So we are still asking what caused them. Well,
Okay, so they think it's just a coincidence that the power went out and that a rock fell from the sky.
Why didn't Grace put not extraterrestrial on her PowerPoint presentation?
Where did it land?
Like, there's a reason she put the other things on,
Did it
but she's
cause
telling
outages?
us not alien. I don't know if she believes it.
I think we were left with more questions than answers here.
Oh, 100%.
Grace, and I am lodging a formal complaint.
Yes.
Because this is what we do now.
Yes.
We complain.
I like that.
Damn you, Grace.
I'm gonna write a letter to the Meteor. So let's go. I think the Hindustan Times article, I pulled it up because it's just hilarious. But there are other articles that had the same things. But I just wanted to say Hindustan Times. It's got a
find
good
this
one.
I had
So
this
and
up, but I
it
think I
has
closed it.
images.
Hang
It
on.
has the same images from the video, but I'll start reading because it has a little more info. Fireball meteor crashes through a roof in Georgia. Oh, it's in Georgia. First photo of fragments emerge. Officials in the southeastern United States are investigating reports of a fireball seen in the sky. The event occurred around midday, as per Fox News. Over 100 sightings from Georgia, South Carolina, You heard all that. A bright fireball was seen across the southeast sky on Thursday. You know that. The National Weather Service in Greenville, Spartanburg, stated that the fireball appears to be a meteorite, as per South Carolina's WYFF TV. Videos show a streak of smoke emitting from the object as it moves through the sky. But if you can get that, you can see they have images now of where it, yeah, there we go. How did that take out 2,000 houses power?
I'm gonna go with it didn't. Because this is like, what is that? We're looking at a ceiling here, right?
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah, because they said it went through the roof in the house in Georgia.
I mean,
Maybe there's something.
it looks like a negligible discharge shot through the roof to me.
Very interesting.
And yeah, of course, the second photo is just super grainy because it's been zoomed in like 1,000 times. But
Yeah, like
I can't see the rock itself, which is like I feel like what everybody wants to see right
That's
now.
what I wanna see.
What
Imagine
did it look like?
it was actually a boogosphere. That's what it was this whole time.
I'm sorry, we say bogus sphere now.
That's
It's-
right. Can they see it?
It's
Can they see
bogus
it?
sphere. No, let me hang on. Yep.
Yeah, show 'em.
It's the bogus sphere. I
Bogus
drew a
sphere.
picture.
Yeah.
It's very, very
out.
realistic. It looks it looks better than the Boogosphere, in my opinion.
Shout out to last night's caller who said bogosphere. We love it. But yeah, like, why don't we see pictures of the rock? But the power thing, weird. Coincidence? I don't believe in it. But maybe there's something else associated with this meteor or whatever it is as it
Do
came
you
in.
think maybe it could be the sun that's been burning us alive for the last like few days?
Oh, you believe in the sun? Oh, you think
I
that's
mean,
a thing?
What do you think it is?
It's a giant Bill Gates light bulb.
300-watt light bulb?
Yeah, Bill Gates switches it out every time there's an eclipse. I thought everyone knew that.
Then why does he want to black it out? Couldn't he just turn it off?
Because he's getting tired of going up there with a ladder and changing it. Now you got to fill the sky with dust and just forget about the sun. And
Come on,
just
BG,
destroy
give
the-
us a break.
Just destroy the Earth. It's easier. It's so much easier to destroy the Earth. You know, when you're Bill Gates, he's
Yeah.
old. You know, he's looking to retire. Got to take everyone out. But we've got things falling out of the sky, people. We've got orbs in New York. We've got meteorites in Georgia. And there was one other one recently in Texas. But it's not rare. But I just think it's interesting. People are looking up more than ever. It's been a while since I think people have been this tuned in to the sky. Probably has something to do with a lot of this stuff, like we were talking about yesterday, the mainstreaming of UFOs. It's less taboo. People seem to not care, but also care a lot more. NASA's holding press conferences, asking you to stare at the sky more and take footage of things. We're seeing alleged reports of all these new objects that they claim to be evidence of extraterrestrial life. Like yesterday, we looked at the bogosphere, and oh, did you ever look at the hand? Did you ever end up finding that hand picture?
I couldn't find it.
It's hard, right? I think we have to watch the entire Mexican press conference, which is, it's not that great.
Like, why would this be stricken from like How has no one else seen this and made a cut of this yet that we can watch? Like, I mean, just like, was it that creepy that everybody just left it alone?
It looks like Rhett Burleson is in Spirit Halloween trying on a fake alien hand. It's a big white fake looking hand, but it's in there. But like the thing about it is the audio visual is just not great in the press conference. I don't know what it's been lately about audio visual problems. Remember the other week when the Newsom announcement had no audio?
I feel like they just kind of screwed the pooch on that one.
That was bad, but like Hegseth recently, when I was driving back up from Florida, he was giving a press conference about the Iranian stuff. His audio was horrible for like 30 seconds. Trump had something wrong with his audio the night he was announcing the bombings. I'm like, come on, people.
We had a power outage that was caused by surge like 3 weeks ago. That was
allegedly surge.
Alleged.
It might have been a meteorite. Surge the meteor. I don't know, but I was beginning to think maybe like people in power are being swapped out by aliens. I don't know if you saw the video of
the changing of the guard, huh?
Yeah, dude. There's the lady who what's her name from Italy? It's going viral today of her like kind of freaking out, making weird bugged out eyes. So she's being interviewed. I'm like, what? It looks like from Men in Black when they swap out and it's like a person skin suit and some alien inside pretending to be human. I don't know. Something to look out for. It's like when they swapped out Boris Johnson during lockdowns. He went in one way and he came out a completely different person. So, clone, I don't know. Maybe an alien in the skin suit, some demon stuff. I don't know. But let me know what you guys think. Give us a comment. Call in. If you want to talk about meteors, you want to talk about orbs, you want to talk about anything. There's no theme. Only thing we want to hear about is your interesting stories about anything unexplained or something you think you can explain, whether it's in the sky, in the ocean, in the woods, you name it. We want to hear about it. And with that said, we can get to our first caller.
Yes, we can. Let's see who we got today.
Thank you guys for tuning in, for calling in. This will be our last episode, our last broadcast for the week. And we will be back next week, Monday, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, we got Danny back again, but I remember something about Danny not being correct, and he said he wasn't sure why it was spelled like this, but...
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forget. It's just how it wound up in the thing.
Yeah.
His name. Or it's something aliens do. They don't know how to spell
Danny,
their names.
Yeah, I got you now.
Yo.
Yeah, it's higher. I take everyone out. But we've got things flying on the sky.
Danny, if you can turn down the stream.
I don't know if he can actually hear us. I think he's doing something else.
Danny.
But it's not rare.
Well,
but
Danny, we will come back to you. Now, I was listening to some old Art Bell episodes just yesterday, and he had like 3 callers in a row that just weren't there. So I was like, oh, okay. It's not just us. I know Danny is there, so we have talked to him.
Yeah, he's just doing something else. All right,
he'll be back.
We're gonna give this a second because he's the only one we got right now. But I actually have something I want to address really quick while we have a second.
Yes.
So with this being episode 66, obviously, and us having recently talked about clones and things like that, I thought it only fair that we address Order 66. Order 66, for those of you that know, was one of the top secret contingency orders that identified all Jedi as traitors to the Galactic Republic and therefore subject to summary execution by the Grand Army of the Republic. Here's where it gets juicy, folks. The order was programmed into the Grand Army clone troopers through behavioral modification biochips. Does that sound familiar?
Interesting. No, I've never heard of such a thing in my life. Like nothing in real life right now.
No, we haven't talked about that at all. Implanted in their brains from creation, making it almost impossible for the clones to disobey the command to turn against their Jedi generals, a.k.a. the good guys. The Kaminoan scientists who designed the clone troopers believed it was only to be used as a contingency protocol against renegade Jedi, and Secret Order 66 was the means by which the Sith intended to bring about the long-awaited fall of the Jedi Order. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very possible in our world now. And we get closer and closer to something like this every day. And this is, for me anyway, what I feel like ultimately the goal is to have this kind of kill switch that they can hit when all shit has hit the fan and there's just no turning back.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Shane feels a similar way.
Mm-hmm. They're already doing it to the cars, right? Like with electric cars, there's stories about repo men who can just shut it off and drive it back remotely.
Yeah.
That will be your future should you sign up for this, brain.
As far as I know, with
interface.
OnStar, they were able to do it. Like they could literally remote start your vehicle. So why wouldn't they be able to disengage it, right?
Exactly.
So cops get a hold of your OnStar, boom, shut your car off in the middle of traffic. They got you.
This is not good. And then add that to the idea of pre-crime, they're going to predict crime. They can just turn it off when they think you're about to do something bad based on what their algorithm is telling them. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. But yeah, if more people sign up for the Neuralink, and I think that will become something that goes beyond just vanity.
This even said in this article here, implanted from birth. So wait until these chips become available to parents who want to start implanting these into their children's heads, but have to give that permission at birth. That will be a thing, and that was like I was talking about with that movie. What the hell was it? Why do I always forget the name of that damn movie? Final Cut.
Yeah.
Where they were putting the chips in the baby's eyes,
Right.
and parents were all aspiring, I hope we have enough money to put a chip in their eyes so they can remember their whole life, but don't forget it records all the bad shit too.
Right. I still have to watch that movie.
It's crazy.
Oh, I misspoke. I didn't mean to say when it goes beyond vanity, because it doesn't start with vanity. It starts with like all those positive benefits they sell it with, like, hey, we'll fix this and that, which is great. And it's like amazing. But then I want everyone to also keep in mind, we talked to on this show a quadriplegic, and we talked to him about after he was telling us his story about his near-death experience. I asked him about his thoughts on the Neuralink, because right now they sell it mostly for fixing your paralysis, or fixing your sight, your hearing, all that stuff. And he was like not into it. And there's other things they're doing. I think he called them brain bridges, more organic fixes to paralysis. So there are those as well, but they're selling the Neuralink as if it's the only thing to fix this stuff. But it will become vanity. That's what I meant to say. The Neuralink will eventually become the thing that we just get like it's our phone. And this idea of implanting children, I mean, they've already, implanted pets, and some people have things in their kids for tracking devices. And, in this crazy world, I understand that fear of like, I got to have something in my kid or my pet, because they go missing, they get stolen. It's crazy.
You'll be able to get them done at the same time, at the same place pretty soon.
Yeah. Oh, they'll be born, and when they get all their shots, they'll also be put a microchip in their brain.
There's already ways for them to sweeten the pot verbally to kind of entertain this idea in your head, like bioorganic human upgrades.
Right.
That sounds great?
Oh yeah, well, that's fine.
I want one of those.
Right.
I want a biomechanical.
It's a
human
very,
upgrade.
very sanitized way.
That makes me better than everybody else, right?
of saying cyborg slave.
Yeah.
Because that's what you'll be at some point. I don't want to give up any more freedom. We already live in a police state, and it's growing rapidly. But once you give them total access to your brain, it's just done.
But think of the freedoms that you gain.
Right? Don't you want to be
You can-
safer?
Shop with your eyeballs.
Right.
They have RFID scan through your head, so you just bounce your head off the credit card reader now instead of using your card. Isn't that convenient? Come on.
And a lot of these transhumanists who are into the Neuralink stuff and other devices like it, they're all into, like we talked about, I think on episode 50, they're into building these network states, which are private cities. And a lot of them are already doing things where they're implanting their Tesla keys into their hands. They're doing really wild operations. There's I saw an interview with one lady who had all the bacteria in her mouth removed. Like, they're just really like doing interesting things. But those private states, those network states, these private cities will become these little bubbles of police states when everyone's got the brain-computer interface. They'll be totally hooked up to their 15-minute city. They can order their Amazon with their brain. They'll probably never leave the house. If they do, they'll be driven by the robo-taxi and whatever, and they'll have those robot dogs.
They'll have to keep those thoughts pure, though. Otherwise, your buddy is going to
zap you.
Subpoena them for their database, and then they're going to go ahead and probably just haul you off to jail.
Well, yeah, they're going to want
you to somatic reconditioning.
Seriously, they're going to want your thoughts to be a certain type of way, and they won't mind if they're dirty thoughts, though, because I think they're going to want to chain you to vice. So they won't be mad if you're like having all these weird fantasies, and they can flood your brain with fantasy, with vice, all AI stuff. Because we've seen these women we talked about in this show that are like raising dolls. Remember? Where was that in South
that
America?
was that.
So the next step
That's probably
would be
the
like,
most uncomfortable I've felt
Yeah.
in this chair so far.
that was bizarre, but there's a lot of those. But you imagine the next step will be you can have the AI version because then it'll be able to grow, and then you could go into that metaverse with it and really feel like you're
Link
with
to
the
your phone
baby.
carrier, take phone calls in your head.
Yep, it's the
Yeah.
evolution of the Tamagotchi, and there's people born into that world. Like there will be people eventually who are born with a chip, and they will just inherit the metaverse, and the metaverse will be more important to them than the physical world, which is already kind of the case for a lot of people. Which is why we have widespread nihilism, and kids who just can't read anymore. They're just totally enveloped in the digital world. So, that's my thing is like all these people like Elon Andreessen, who calls himself a techno-optimist, they sell it like this is going to be great for humanity. It's going to be amazing. You're going to be better and smarter. But we look how much dumber we are now as a whole, especially unfortunately our children in these public schools. We're seeing all these things like they just can't read anymore. They're at like horrible reading levels, and they have access to everything on their phone, but it hasn't helped them learn really anything. And it's also destroyed their social skills. So they will totally inherit this digital world where everything's better. They can do anything they want, be anything they want, and the physical world can just rot away. So I don't buy that idea that they're going to say, hey, all this is so much better with a
Education
brain chip
lost
and
me
all
when
that
they
stuff.
came out with Common Core anyway. I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm
Horrible.
done.
It's horrible.
Get away from me with this shit.
They're just experimenting with kids' brains in public schools. So I think public schools are also falling by the wayside, and a lot of people are homeschooling and looking at other routes to teach because the public schools have failed drastically. But we're already seeing like the decay in education, and we have all this technology now. So I have no reason to believe that having even more technology in the technocratic state that they're building, this dystopia with a thing in your head or just internet like in your face constantly because you're living inside the metaverse, not going to be good. And then they're also building things to read your brain waves. Not good. That's what Meta's doing. You can look it up. They're trying to translate your brain waves into images. And we've talked about how Facebook is already looking at the way you operate on their website. If you look depressed, they'll alert the corporation, hey, this person's depressed. Sell them something. It's super unethical. And I'm not totally anti-tech. I might be a Luddite. I think they get a bad rap. But Luddites, weren't anti-tech. They were using the tech of the day. They just wanted to destroy the tech that would replace them with mass autonomy. I love tech. I'm surrounded by tech. We're using tech to talk to you. It's amazing. I just don't like this future where everything will be replaced. And I don't think that's that far off. And everyone who's building this stuff is quite literally saying that. And they're worried about what the new social contract is going to look like. So brace yourselves.
All right, let's get back to the phones.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in Jetstorm. I do not know that they have a mic. Jetstorm, you're on, but I don't see a mic for you.
Jetstorm. Sounds like a cool 80s theme.
Jetstorm.
You hear it, right? It's just like there.
Yeah, kind of.
Jetstorm.
Something by Knight Rider.
Oh, great theme song.
All right, Jetstorm, we'll come back to you. You got no mic.
Sorry, Jetstorm.
All right. Let's get somebody new in here, too. Let's see. I got High T Central. Some interesting names tonight. High T Central, you're on Inverted World Live. What is up?
It's all ghost
I
tonight.
see Mike. It is unmuted.
I hear. Volume's down.
Hello, hello.
Hello?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up?
We did hear you.
Am I here?
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah, you're
You're
here.
on Inverted World Live. Thanks for calling in. What's going on?
Oh, hey. Yeah, no, I was just wondering what are the new conspiracies here regarding afterlife?
Regarding the afterlife. Poof. Well, I believe in the eternal life through Christ, and Brandon does not. So we have two different views on the afterlife.
Very different.
But
views.
I, in terms of conspiracies about it, I mean, I've been thinking about how they're trying to create like a heaven on earth. So it's kind of like an afterlife, and it kind of segues from what we were just talking about, because these people who call themselves a techno-optimists are building out what they would consider a heaven on earth, a false heaven, because they're also creating a digital false god that will be omniscient, an all-knowing, all-seeing apparatus that can read your brain and watch your every move and even predict your move. So I guess in that regard, that's what I would say is they're trying to make it seem like we're going to inherit this heaven on earth, which I totally don't believe in, and I reject it. But it won't be, of course. It will be a horrific police state where you'll be put in mind prison if you step out the boundaries, because it'll be a part of a social credit score. Any thoughts, Brandon?
This is the afterlife you were describing?
Afterlife in terms of heaven to me is an afterlife.
Yeah.
But the techno-optimists, the transhumanists are trying to build an afterlife, quote-unquote heaven here on Earth.
I agree that that's definitely the direction that they're headed in. If we're lucky, we don't see it in our lifetime.
Yeah.
I do believe that's a possibility, of course. But as far as conspiracies for afterlife, I mean, that's really the only one that I would see, because like Shane said, we have very different views. For me, you're gone. You're dead, you're gone.
Do you believe in karma, or not karma, but when you come back,
reincarnation?
Reincarnation, thank you.
No.
Not that.
I don't see that. I mean, a lot of people think that that the body has a soul and whatever, and hey, more power to you guys. But I believe that soul that we believe that we have is really just electricity, and we function off of this. We function off of water, things that are found on the earth. I don't know what we evolved from. Some people think primates, all that other stuff, but I do think we were homegrown. I don't think we were put here. Very very simple, not crazy with all of the points that I get to with this sort of thing. It's very just dull, straight to the point. Okay, this is
I got a near
boring,
Yeah. But yeah, I heard you saying something.
Yeah,
Take
go ahead.
it away. We lost you.
His audio is
Yeah,
cutting
so
out.
I have
There he is.
a story regarding near-death experience. One time my heart stopped, actually.
Oh wow. Yeah, tell us about it. The floor is yours.
My heart actually stopped, and I experienced going to getting pulled towards a tree. It was a giant tree, and I didn't feel any kind of guilt or fear or anything kind of coming down on me, or negative feelings. It was actually very euphoric. But it was almost like there was an invisible tether on my navel pulling me towards this tree. And what happened is that once I got to the branches of the tree, then I just woke up. I guess that's when my heart started again. So, and I've actually heard other stories of that happening in near-death experiences. So, I was wondering what you guys think about that, and I'll let you guys go. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I've heard other people talk about those experiences of near death when they experience being pulled into the other world, whatever it might be. If you're still here, could I ask why your heart stopped? What happened? Is he gone?
No, I think he's listening to the stream, live.
It's like a delayed.
Yeah.
Caller, if you're still there.
Oh, he's dropped now. Yeah, he bounced.
Okay, well, we've heard a lot of stories like that on the show. We've had people talk about the quintessential going towards the light, but also experiencing out of body experiences. Was it the guy who called in who was a quadriplegic after his accident, who experienced being
I think
almost like a snake?
He was talking about that kind of effect of leaving. I mean, he was also fully paralyzed from it, so I mean, I could see, but his body went into what he was describing was shock, because I went through the same thing when I was a kid. I got smacked by a semi truck.
Really?
And I was done up for a super, super long time.
Whoa.
And my body went into shock initially, and I was 4 years old.
Oh my goodness.
I didn't understand any of this stuff.
Wait, can you tell us?
Yeah, so.
Holy crap.
So it happened in Kentucky. It was 1990 maybe, or something around there. Ended up getting rolled by just a tractor, no anything on it, just rolled over. And I spent a good long time in the hospital recovering from that. But went through a bunch of, surgeries and stuff like that, and had complications during surgeries, which led to like crazy fevers and infections, which led to me basically being on ice blankets and, getting pretty close to flatlining myself. And, in those experiences, even though I was still young, I still had dreams. I still had flashing of waking up and seeing doctors, just random moments, and the rest of it, they had me hopped up on painkillers for most of it. So it's hard to remember a lot of it now.
Wow. Were you in a car when it happened, or?
No, I was out by the truck. It was just like a freak accident. Like I was actually hanging out like by the truck. Truck was running. Driver got out and was like, "Hey, get off." And then it was one of those things where I was just an idiot kid, and was still climbing around by it. And he, threw it in gear, took off. Well, not really took off, but rolled away. I slipped under the tires, got rolled over by like the back 4 tires. So.
Oh my gosh.
It sucked.
Dude,
it
your
sucked.
Parents must have been.
My mom was out of
her.
her mind because that was the first time she had ever actually left me alone to like go into the house. So she was killing herself over and over again for that. Super sucky. But survived that. But yeah, I remembered.
I'd say that's a miracle you're here. I know
Some
you
would
don't
say
believe
that,
in it,
and I mean,
but that's a miracle, dude. At 4.
I've gone through a lot of crazy close calls like this, and I only accredit it to my will for survival because I have a very strong will to survive. I have stuff I want to do. I have things I haven't seen yet.
100%.
Just because all the shit that I've been through, it's like it just makes me want to stay here longer to get more things done and get that much more out of the life that I thought was going to be robbed from me. So my sheer force of will is what I think to, and it might be part of the reason why I'm not religious.
Yeah,
maybe it's just because of all the shit that I've gone through that I've had to burden, in my life, that I just don't believe that there's anything here to help you or guide you.
And I look at it as like God was like, we have a purpose for you, and we're keeping you here.
Now his purpose was to throw me under the truck.
Hey,
so
you ever listen to the band Candiria?
No.
You know that band? They're like a great hardcore band. I forget if they're from New York or New Jersey, but they had they have a great record. They came out, they got pretty big, and then they were on tour in their van and a horrible wreck. And they healed up, made another album that's called What Doesn't Kill You. And the picture on the album cover is the van, totally wrecked. It's a great album. And anyone out there wants to hear that song, it's very heavy, very awesome. The song called Blood is amazing.
It's actually crazy how many artists have done the whole bus wreck thing.
Bro.
Alien Ant Farm.
Yes, that's right.
Dryden came out of that, super screwed up, came back to music, and I mean,
yep.
That last album they put out was one of the best albums I've heard from them.
I still go to lambgoat.com. I don't know if anyone out there knows about Lambgoat. It's like a kind of underground hardcore metal website, but the kind of sick joke throughout that website for all these years is van flip, another van flip. I mean, I haven't experienced that on tour, but I did have a van explode once after I fed some beer to a skeleton in a wall up in New Hampshire, and we blew up in Whitehall, New York. But so many people. We also lost brakes once in North Carolina, but so many people in bands have these horrible experiences. If your van's not robbed by something in one of these crazy cities we have to go play, because it's always like Poughkeepsie.
That was always the scare.
Yeah, shout out to Poughkeepsie, I love you, but the Chance Theater was in the gulliest of areas. Yeah, it's crazy. So I recommend that one. But dude, that's a crazy story. I'm glad you survived. I can't imagine, as a parent with one of my kids being 4, cannot imagine.
Yeah, it sucked for a good long time.
Damn.
But yeah, by whatever grace or not, I made it out of that. So
yes.
But I do remember the flashes in and out from all of these crazy things, and while people say they see light and they see color and stuff like that, it really was just, it was like being asleep, not dreaming.
Yeah.
It was just you just wake up at different points.
Right.
And somebody tells you, oh, hey, you were, we almost lost you there, or some, shit like that. And you're just wait, what?
Wow.
And it's incomprehensible bollocks to a kid,
Totally.
But the more and more that I found out about stuff that I didn't remember, the longer, the more I got older and the more my mom started to tell me about stuff, I was just wow, that's pretty screwed up, because I didn't even know about half this stuff.
Did
they
the
didn't want to
driver
freak the kid out,
Did the driver stop? Was he
there was a whole court ordeal that happened with that entire thing. He ended up getting fired, and I believe that they tried to actually pin the whole thing on you know, like a insurance scam or something like that, when really it was just an accident. So
Right.
that whole thing got, you know, thrown out, dismissed. But as far as I know, he didn't drive anymore after that.
Wow.
So I never really followed after that. I was, you know.
Oh, you're 4. Yeah.
So I didn't really
Wow,
care.
dude.
But
Intense.
yeah.
So if anyone out there has near-death experience stories, I love hearing them. They freak me out, but I love hearing them. There's so many different strange near-death experiences, or people who have like died and come back and had this new ability to like speak a new language or play an instrument all of a sudden. Those are weird stories, and I'm interested in them. But do we have any other callers lined up? Or
Yeah. Yep.
Let's go to callers.
Let's do it.
Crazy. I want to say how funny it is that we are in the same room, and I look like I'm in a darker room.
Wait.
How is that possible? All the same lights, and I'm in the dark, but you have a lighter room.
It's the angles. I'm kind of hiding from our side light over here on this side with this curtain thing I've got going on here, and it's saving my eyes. But
So
like, yeah, I
funny.
can see you got that side light over
I'm
there
legit
too. So.
in the dark, but that's where I
Yeah,
like it.
lighting's good.
That's
It's
where
good.
I like it. I like it.
I mess with it. That's good. All right, let's go on, and I want to see. Let's bring in Lee Cash.
All right. Lee, are you there?
If you can hear us, unmute.
We are here on Inverted World Live. It is 10:52 p.m. Eastern Time, waiting on Mr. Lee Cash.
What is happening, y'all? Can you hear me?
Super, super low.
Yeah.
Can you turn up?
I heard a faint voice in the
Is that
distance.
better?
Yeah, much better.
Yep.
How you doing?
Awesome. All right, so I've got to let my phone charge a minute so I can cut the camera on. I've got a chicken farm. I've got 11,000 hens in this house. And I thought I want to see it. But I was going to admit
Lee,
this is something I was thinking about with it.
you're cutting out a bunch.
If
Yeah.
it was any, if that ball's anything of any real significance,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't talk to us about it.
Right.
It would have been contained immediately, and they would have cut any news out. You know, anything.
You're
Right.
talking about
They-
the bogus sphere.
Yep. I'm with you on that. There's a
That's
reason.
my take on it. I mean, the fact that they're even talking about it means look over here, not over here.
100%. I think the story about the important story about this story is the story.
Yeah.
Why are we hearing about it? Why is it becoming a thing? Why is there a press conference in Mexico now with one of our politicians and all these people like the whistleblower Greer, who I'm not really I don't trust all that much, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
No.
So
And the biggest
you're
thing
right.
that we have to understand is the news. We know every outlet's on. So if they are pushing the narrative, if they're talking to us about something, there is a reason for it. Like, why are they talking to us about it to begin with? Is there any point, or is it simply to take attention from, for example, all the attention trying to be taken away from Palantir?
Yep. I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
Those guys are certainly.
I think it's
demonic.
smokescreen for sure. I think it's
Yep.
smokescreen for sure. I don't know for what. I don't know what they're trying to keep everybody occupied with. I think this is kind of a shitty way to do it, but you know, I think it's also the other hand. It could just be a few college guys just trying to, you know, mess around and see how far they get. you
Right.
know?
We can have a whole press conference in Mexico over a bogus sphere. Ridiculous.
I've got a flashlight somewhere, but I don't remember what I've done with it.
Well,
If I don't get to show y'all tonight, I'll show you next time. But that was my main take, because, you know, always ask yourself why you're being shown what you're being shown. What's the agenda behind it?
great advice. I think that is exactly how we should be looking at it. We appreciate you calling in and sharing that.
I appreciate y'all having me on. I hope y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
He said 11,000 hens. Did you
Yeah,
catch that?
that's. I was like, did he say 11,000?
He said 11,000 hens. I have 3. 3 chickens.
There definitely aren't that many in Chicken City. I know that.
You weren't here when I talked about I was fox proofing because I had a fox issue and a fox got a few of my chickens.
You got a fox issue?
Fox issue, yeah. I thought I fox proofed enough. I didn't. Got in, got some chickens. It was a crime scene.
I thought I fox-proof. I came home. There was fox on my TV again.
Bro, it was so bad. I've been in a battle with the fox. So I spent the other day, when I got back from Florida, I spent that whole day just like really fox-proofing, hardware cloth on the ground, all this stuff. And chickens were fine the next night. Then last night happens, and I look out there. Chickens were fine. But whatever it was, I think it's a fox. It took everything apart. It actually like took the hardware cloth off the ground, which had been with spikes put in, and ripped it up. So it couldn't dig, but it was like pulling it off. I'm like, this really wanted my chickens. So I'm investing in a rocket launcher.
A rocket launcher.
I think that's the only way to take care of the chickens.
Doesn't Elon makes flamethrowers, doesn't he?
He does make flamethrowers. And that actually could be fun. I could use one of those. It's like a glorified lighter. He says it's not technically a blow torch. What is it? Flamethrower.
Yeah,
But,
no,
it
it's
does
a
look cool.
personal inflammatory device, or I don't remember what the hell the technical term was that they used, but it passed for marketing.
That's right. I thought it
Marketing
was
5 out of
great.
5, I thought.
Yeah, I could do that.
And then I saw a guy actually like trying to do the snow in his driveway with a flamethrower, and I was like, I'll just take the damn shovel at this point. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't even look like he's making any progress, And then he's gonna have a thin layer of ice over everything. He's gonna fall and bust his ass. Like, I'm good.
It looks cool though.
It does look cool. Gotta
Well,
give it to him.
Do we have any callers lined up?
Yeah, let's go to.
Always
Joan.
be skeptical of what they're showing us.
Do you have a mic? You are on the show, but you got no mic.
Are you there?
Waiting to see if they activate this thing here. Some people are just not too quick on the gun.
We will start taking paper cups attached to strings for those who don't have Zoom.
Soup cans. All right, Joan, find your mic. We'll come back to you. All right, let's bring in Tim. Tim, you're on Averted World Live. What's up?
Hey guys,
What's
Hey.
going on? How are you, Tim?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for being
having me on. I love your guys' show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Well-
let me step out here really quick. I got a kid crying.
Oh, I know how that goes.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. I know you got a few of them. My wife and I, we have 5.
Incredible. Congrats.
Yeah. So I actually put a comment on there. I'm a couple days ago. I live in Appalachia, Southwest Virginia near Floyd.
Okay.
And it was funny. You guys were talking about like the Appalachian witches and stuff.
Yeah.
And in Floyd, they have a coven that like meets in this field out there. And they're on Facebook and everything. They have their own Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on like the Floyd community Facebook page. And they post like when they're gonna go like charge their crystals in the moon and stuff. It's crazy.
Yup.
So yeah, I've never seen them personally, but they're out there. They're out there and they're very open about it.
Yeah. I
So-
couldn't believe how open they were about it.
Yeah, man. So I just got a couple of quick stories, nothing like too crazy about Appalachia. Like
Okay.
I have been outside a few times in the woods. We live on like almost 900 acres, but it's wild what you hear out there sometimes. I like this one time I was outside, and you know how mountain lions sound, but like the way they scream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the one night I was outside, we have sheep and goats, and I was going to put the sheep up, and it was like that. Only it was like a man. Like mountain lions, they have more of a female undertone to them. It's very high pitched, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like blood curdling almost.
Sure.
This was like a guy doing it. So it kind of just creeped me out. I don't know what it was, but we have a shadow person story too, a UFO story. It's just, what do you guys want to hear?
Let's do. What do you think?
Shadow is kind of
I
intriguing.
saw Shadow Man in his eyes.
Yeah.
Yep, let's do Shadow Man.
Okay, cool, man. All right, so this was about a decade ago, but I remember it was like it was yesterday. I was with my buddy, and we were just hanging out, and we decided we're going to sit down and watch a movie. We go into like his it was kind of like a theater room, but it was upstairs. You know, he had a couch in there, and then like a love seat and a big TV and stuff like that. And it was kind of stupid how it was set up because the window faced the TV, but you know, whatever. You know, we're out in the country and we're sitting there and we're just chilling, watching a movie. And his window was probably 10 feet off the ground on the first floor. And we're sitting there, and it was like clear as day from one side of the wall to the other. And I mean, you're talking probably about 15 feet. This guy just walks from one end to the other super slow. Like, it was me and my friend Donnie, and we both, like, our heads were following it the whole time, just like stuck. Like, what is this thing? And then it just like disappeared into the other side of the wall. And it was just like that. Like, we got up because we at first we thought like maybe one of his relatives have came by, and like it was just us there. It was just us two. And we like you know, we're going around, we're looking for something, and we come to realize eventually, like, even if someone was there, there's no way they could have projected that because of how high the window was up, and the way the guy walked from wall to wall. You only seen from the waist up. You didn't see any legs, you know, but it was a clear, like, male figure. So it was very strange. That's my shadow person story.
Wow, that's crazy. And how old were you at that time?
Oh, let's see. I'm 34 now, so I was like 24, 25.
Okay. Did the shadow have a hat? Always got to ask.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Yes, it did. It looked like it looked like a flat brim hat.
It was me.
That's the hat man. Well, that is the hat man. So now I have to ask this. I have to ask
No,
this.
I wasn't on drugs.
No, I'm not going to ask that. Actually, I wasn't going to ask that. That's hilarious.
You beat the chat.
I wasn't going to ask that part. When the Hat Man appears, a lot of times it follows some sort of traumatic event. Did anything strange, dark, traumatic happen to any one of you or someone related to you in the days leading up to that?
That's a good question. I can only speak for myself. No, not that I remember. You know, life's always chaotic and stuff, and it could have been something, but like I don't remember anything. I can't speak for Donnie. I stopped talking to him shortly after that happened.
Interesting.
So
interesting.
It's possible. It's possible, but I'm not. From my end, I don't believe so.
Yeah, we've heard from a lot of callers who have seen Hat Man, and sometimes it surrounds something dark that had happened. And he like appears and typically shows himself to younger people, typically younger than 24, but to people who are younger and who've experienced something weird. Yeah, it's funny. I was just talking about listening to Art Bell the other day or yesterday, and nothing terrifies him, according to him in this episode, nothing terrified him more than the shadow entities and a Hat Man. You know, it's one of those things I was like, I've heard about a lot, but the more I hear about these things from people, it is super creepy. I actually did see a shadow hand growing up a lot as a kid, and it did freak me out, but I only saw a hand. But seeing a full figure and how you describe it, it's super creepy. Did the temperature change at all? Do you remember anything like that? Or lights, do anything weird? Or the TV?
No, you know, it's one of those things. It may have, like, it felt like for me personally, it felt like my heart just like stopped in my chest because it wasn't like a fast thing.
Right.
It was a slow, deliberate movement across the wall. And it was just like, holy shit, am I seriously seeing what I'm seeing right now? And as soon as it was done and I looked over at it was like, I didn't even have to ask, did you see that? Just by the look on his face. So I'm not sure about any of those changes, but it was definitely seen by the both of us. It was a very slow, deliberate movement. And the only time going back to the Hat Man thing, the only time I had ever heard about that is like for people who were like taking cough syrup or something like that. And until you said something, I didn't even think about like that being like more like a demonic entity that just exists out in the world and not just people who are robo tripping, you know?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I know of those experiences as a younger child in the middle of the woods in New York. Didn't see any shadow entities then, but definitely not. I think all drugs open up people to portals to bad things and evil slips.
Oh,
through them,
yeah.
for sure. I mean, meth is a great example of that. But yeah, that's what. Did you? So you said you had you didn't hang out with this guy much longer. Did you go back to the house after this? And if you did you was it hard to not think about this shadow entity that you saw?
I went back to the house one time, and it like when we were back there, that's all we talked about, and his sister was there, so we were getting her in on the conversation, because we actually thought it was her and her husband that had shown up. So and she just thought we were dumb, like we were just like
Right.
what are you guys on? You're taking drugs or something,
Right.
and that's just not anything that I've experimented with, weed and mushrooms, but I've never been like a really heavy user, and it definitely wasn't something I was doing that day. So yeah, it's no.
Well, that's a crazy, one of the crazier shadow entity encounters. The way you saw it, the way it moved, two of you there.
The window's 10 feet high.
Yep. All wild details, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. And please do call back and tell us other stories when you can.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll call back another time and tell my UFO story.
Awesome. Thanks,
Cool.
dude. Have
Thanks,
a good
Tim.
night.
Thanks, guys.
Freaking Hat Man. The shadow entities, dude. They're weird. So I'll just say it really quick before we get to the next caller. Growing up in my old house in the middle of the woods with no neighbors, when I was probably like 3 or 4, I started to see the hand of a shadow in the corner of my room, like where the wall meets the ceiling, by the door to the room. And it freaked me out every night. And my parents did all the investigating. Could anything make that happen? Make that shadow anything on the other side of the room? Made no sense. Saw it a whole bunch. Just a hand, a shadow hand in the corner of the room. I did write about this in that first Inverted World book as well. And it really freaked me out for a long time. Then I forgot about it. Nothing happened. And I move on with my life. I move out. I come back home. Many years later, because I am basically destitute with a family at this point. I have a young child. He was probably like 6 months old. So it's me, our firstborn, and my wife living in my parents' house again. And I'm now living in that room. I am a father, a very poor father in my childhood bedroom. And I am trying to console my kid who is crying in the middle of the night, trying to let my wife sleep. And the only thing I can think of doing is making shadow puppets with my hands. And all of a sudden, I realize that is my hand on the wall where I once saw it. It was exactly where I saw the hand my entire childhood, those early years. And now all of a sudden my hand is being projected onto the wall. And it was like I felt like I time traveled.
You physically created your own demon.
I think I did.
Didn't know it.
I did.
This is what I was talking about a few weeks ago. If anybody remembers, I asked that guy. It was
that's
my
right.
my first guest appearance on the show, I think. And I asked him if he believed in creating demons. Well, I didn't mean like literally, even just like
Right.
subconsciously, like not on purpose. Like, oh shit,
Right.
like that was me.
Right. It was.
That just shows it is entirely possible for you to scare the living shit out of yourself.
I wonder if I was even misinterpreting it though. If somehow I was seeing the future, as a kid, it really freaked me out. And then here I am making something to calm down my kid. So I was doing the thing that freaked me out as a kid, but now I was doing it to console this kid. my kid, and it was so
And it
bizarre.
brings your whole thing full circle too,
Full
which is
circle.
crazy.
Yeah, it was like immediately, I'm like, holy crap, the hand was me the whole time up there.
That
in the wall.
realization, you probably just had to be like,
It blew my mind. I wanted to wake my wife up. I'm like, I'm trying to let her sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling my 6-month-old, like, your daddy has made the shadow creature that freaked him out. You'll understand this later. But yeah, dude, shadows are weird. Shadows are weird. Great shadow story from the last caller. Thank you, Tim. Do we have anyone else?
yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you guys for calling in. If you're just now joining us, phone lines are open. We'll get to as many as we can before midnight. The link to call in is pinned in the chat below on both YouTube and Rumble. You got a weird story. You've seen a shadow person. You've seen a UFO, cryptids, you name it. Call in. Sleep paralysis. We want to hear about it, and we'll talk about it.
I also just have to throw this out there because I know Joan says that she doesn't have a mic, but yet she's also called back in. So in order to call into the show, you need a microphone. If you do not have a microphone, please call back when you do.
Well,
and I will bring you onto said show.
Brandon, I mean, we should also say, like, unless they're calling in, like, with telepathy, you know?
I mean, I don't have You got Neuralink?
I don't have Neuralink. That's fake telepathy. But maybe they've got, like, real telepathy, and if there's a way to deliver it, I'm a little afraid.
Maybe they've got Neuralink.
Right, maybe they have Neuralink. Is it Elon, did we say, was actually trying to copyright the word telepathy? I think he is.
Can he do that?
Yeah, they're trying to. They're trying to for the Neuralink. Because
Wow.
they're literally working on it. That Project Stargate, for $500 billion that Trump gave to OpenAI and all these other places, is a reason it's called Stargate.
Is there anything this man won't try to purchase?
No. He purchased his children. Well, that's another story. But Stargate, Operation Stargate, you guys probably know, a lot of weird mind experiments going on. I think they named the AI thing Project Stargate for a reason, because it's connected to Operation Stargate. And obviously, we have Elon trying to copyright telepathy. I think that's the word. If it's not telepathy, it's something like telepathy.
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 I hate it already.
But
All right.
let's do it.
Yeah, let's get back to the phones. And we're going to grab... What do we got in here? Kevin Carroll.
Kevin.
What's up, Kevin?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you
doing?
Doing pretty good. So speaking of shadow people, I used to work in healthcare, worked in a nursing home, and we would have a sort of shadow presence. I didn't really follow much about that because I was usually doing my job. People who would sit around would usually see the shadow person. But one night when I was doing my rounds, I was just walking down the hall, looking into rooms, making sure nobody's crawling out of bed or needing help. And I see this little girl twirling in the bedroom, and it freaked me out. I didn't know what was going on, and I did a double take, and there was nothing there. Well, cut ahead, I went and talked to my nurse about it, and I thought I was losing it, and I was kind of not very well. I mean, it scared the crap out of me, and I didn't go down there by myself for the rest of the night. Anyways, 3 or 4 days later, the guy passes away. And that's not the weird part. The weird part is about a month later, we had another resident who was staying in a different room on that same hall. And he said to the nurse one night, what's that little girl doing in here? Can you tell her to keep it down? And a couple days later, 3 or 4 days later, that guy passed away. So I do think there's something with the beyond. I don't know what it is, but it kind of scared the daylights out of me. So
wow,
that's my story.
That's a good story. Was it a shadow figure, or did you see any more like a pattern to the dress, or was there color to her? Did she look more like a real person but transparent?
She looked like 8 to 12 years old, like pigtails, sundress, blonde hair. But like I said, at first I thought I was just tired and seeing stuff, but I was still freaked out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did anyone else say they'd seen her?
Just that one resident. A few months later, I ended up moving about 6 months later, so I don't know if any other stuff happened. But yeah, that was my brush with the paranormal.
Well, that's a good story. I appreciate you calling in, man. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Wow. That's very interesting. I wonder if that happens there a lot. Nursing homes are interesting places.
Yeah, I never want to live in one.
No, I just went to one for the homeschool program we do with our kids. They went and sang some songs for some older people in nursing home. It is a very sad place. But those people are actually really happy. They like the ones who were there, I had really awesome conversations with, and they were quite happy.
There are some places that treat those people like shit, though. And
100%.
I mean, I've seen it. Like it happened with my grandmother who had dementia. She just passed a few years ago in the home that she was in. They were treating her like absolute garbage, and we found out about it late. A whole lawsuit about it. Like it's just like, you're leaving your loved ones in the care of these people, and when you find out the kind of lengths of shit that they're going through with some of these people, you're just like, man, like
it's evil.
I hope you guys burn in some kind of a hell if there is one.
It's evil. I don't like that at all. But they do creep me out. And we used to take care of people. Like we used to deliver lunches to elderly people in a nursing home when I was a kid, and just like that one was not a good place. It smelled really bad, and it was just a black cloud over that entire place. But I think places like that do attract the weirdness, obviously, because it's like filled with death and loneliness. A lot of those people, in my experiences with the one when I was a kid, no one visited. A lot of these people didn't have visitors. We were the visitors with our hot lunches that we were bringing to them, and dark, just darkness. But like hospitals as well, it's weird because there's so much joy in a hospital. You have a kid there, something tragic was fixed in you, you're cured, or you had you're leaving with a broken bone, but you got a cast now, but there's so much death.
I was going to say the other side of that coin is all the negative, because there really isn't like a halfway in between. Like, I'm having a mediocre day at the hospital. You're either having a good day or you're having a bad day. Like, let's be realistic. There's no in between there.
Yep. My wife gave birth to our second child in the same hospital where her grandfather died just a few years prior. And it was like such a dark moment because we lived with him and we were there for his like final moment. And then to be there also during COVID, so the world had shut down, and then being like just down the hall from where we had last seen him. It's a very crazy feeling, very crazy. But let's go to another call. Do we have any others?
Yep. Really quick, shout out April Fresh for the chat. Says thank you, I guess. No, thank you, I guess.
I don't guess at all. I'm stoked.
I guess I'm stoked at it. All right. Let's get Jason Dolan in here. Jason, if you can hear me, unmute. You are live.
Excellent. How you guys doing?
Good. How you been?
Good.
So you got a story for us, sir?
I sure do. So I used to live well outside the city limits on the border of Virginia and West Virginia. My house was on a couple of acres and it was pretty heavily wooded. The acreage during the winter, you could see way out. And me and some family, a couple of friends were outside on the deck. It's a second story deck that overlooked these woods. And we were drinking and my friend got a brand new bow and he was just shooting down into the woods. It was late at night, so there's no risk of anybody running around out there. And we'd shine a light down to a target that we put down there. Well, as we're up on the deck and he's about ready to let a shot go, we see this shadow, and it's clearly a human shadow. And it wasn't like a cowboy hat, your traditional cowboy hat. It was like a duster, real flat brim. Think like Doc Holliday, Wyatt Earp kind of hat. And this shadow just slowly moved about 100 yards behind the target. And we've got a bunch of black bears out where we live. So we were like, maybe it was a black bear. Well, it did it again. it was moving too fast to be some sort of a black bear. It was way too fast to be some sort of a human, and it didn't have that anatomical bounce that humans have when they walk.
Right.
It was just kind of drifting. So we kept trying to chase it with the flashlight, but it both times it passed in front of our view, it was about a 3-second pass, and then it would come back. And we kept trying to figure it out. Well, we come to find out that we had a house right next to us, about 100 yards down the road was our neighbor. This neighbor passed away in his house, and it was kind of like a couple of weeks before we moved into our place. And one of the neighbors that had lived there for 40 years, you've got multi-generational people that live back in these backwoods. He said that that guy died in his house. He was walking around in the upper floor, died in the house, hit his head. He was walking around, hit his head, ended up dying in the house, and nobody found him for a week.
Oof.
And the description of that person, like the build, including the hat, was the exact description of that thing that we saw.
Interesting.
And
that's crazy.
And he was like, I asked my neighbor, this, Virginian that lives in the holler, he's like, did he have a big flat brim Western hat? And I was like, yep. He goes, oh, that's Jim. He haunts these woods. I'm like, that would have been nice to know before I purchased this house.
His name is Jim. Okay.
Yeah. Jim,
Wow.
Jim, the guy that his whole life, he laid flooring and tile. So his back was a mess. He had kind of like a slight hunchback towards the top and real tall, real skinny. And he's like, oh, that's Jim. You'll see him haunting around here every once in a while.
Oh, man.
And for whatever reason, it was just like commonplace for that area for people to see that thing.
Wow.
We saw it one more time before we moved, and it was always during the winter for some reason. And we figured out Jim died right as the first snow fell before we moved in, and he's just there.
Wow.
So it's like this little piece of Virginia history off of this road out in the backwoods, and it was incredible for us. So
that's wild, because you're describing literally Hat Man, but you have connected it to a certain person who actually dressed like Hat Man. Like, have you seen pictures of Hat Man before? We pulled up some images while you were talking of what people see constantly, a shadow man with that kind of hat that you're talking about. But you have evidence that suggests you saw like a Hat Man adjacent, a Jim, who
Hat Man's cousin Jim.
Yeah, Hat Man's cousin Jim. Oh man, that's wild.
Yeah.
And did he ever like mess with you? Did you feel like he was trying to scare you, or he's just roaming around doing his thing?
I think he was just roaming around. Those woods back there are pretty unique for that area because it was on the side of a mountain. So the land itself had a decent grade to it. And there's a stream that runs just out off of our property that he would fish at. That was like his thing. He would catch brook and rainbow trout in this stream. And after his wife passed, he was just kind of a bachelor, did his thing. He would fish, he would hunt occasionally, and then his health caught up to him and died due to that trauma when he fell. But it was just like a passing, like, oh, hey, I'm here again.
Right.
And a lot of people say that he'll cross our gravel road to get down to the woods. He'll go up towards the peak of the mountain, and then you'll see him crossing that gravel road when it's real shadowy. I didn't see that. I just saw it in the woods. And my friend Tom, he's a pretty avid hunter, and he was like, I don't know what that was, man. That didn't look normal. And we had suspicions that there were like mountain lions in the area, and there's always kind of a hunter's tale of, in the Appalachian Mountains,
of course,
there's mountain lions, and nobody's seen one, but a guy they know has seen one. But this was like our neighborhood ghost that we had.
Wow. Do you still have friends in the area, and do they see him?
Yeah. One guy in particular, the guy that has lived there the longest, he keeps in contact with us, and it's just kind of a happenstance kind of thing. I mean, I know like Tim Cast where that house is because I live near that area,
Oh,
right?
funny. Yep.
And I know the wildlife that's all throughout that entire area.
There's a lot.
And yeah, man, I mean, you were talking about chickens earlier, and there's a ton of predators for those chickens out there, and we didn't thankfully have that problem. But what he was saying, and he helped us put in our fence, he's like, yeah, you got to watch out because those black bears and foxes will get them, but what you really got to watch out for is the mountain lions. And I'm like, wait, stop for a second. Mountain lions? He goes, yeah, you know, I could have sworn I seen one, either that or it's old Jim haunting the neighborhood.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So definitely the walk to the car, you know, involved, you know,
Quite a bit of
firearm
shoulder
of some
looking,
sort,
yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
But
That's great. Well, thank you for that story. Appreciate it, man. And appreciate you
Yeah.
calling in.
yeah, of course. Thanks, guys.
Have a good
All right,
night.
have a good night.
Hatman's cousin Jim, everybody. That's a good. It's funny how we get stories that kind of line up randomly. Like we don't know who we're
No.
talking to. People are usually in the chat while other people are already telling their stories.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had 3 in a row the other day of missing time stories. Now we've got these shadow entities.
And I'm not going in order here either tonight. It's just random pull and shoot on whatever name I see in the chat. So I'm not even going down the line today. I'm just grabbing people.
Wild.
So this is, yeah, that's pretty crazy.
You never know what you're going to get on Inverted World Live, people. We have no idea who's calling. It's always incredible.
You think Jim's probably just like pissed about his back? Or like,
Yeah.
like he hated his job so much that he's like now stuck here.
He
being
might have
pissed
better-
off about it and just pacing around outside.
With better posture, I'd hope.
Yeah.
You know, as a
Do you
shadow
keep your
entity.
posture? Apparently, you keep your trench coat and your hat.
You do have that, so maybe he does have that posture.
Maybe he's got the posture too.
He
I
might.
don't know.
That would be a bummer. I hope Jim has better posture in the shadow realm.
Okay. So, where are we at? We got about 35 minutes. Let's keep it rolling.
Let's do it.
I want to go to so disclaimer here that this person isn't speaking for all Canadians everywhere, but the person that I am going to bring on right now has a name in the chat of Canada. So let's bring on Canada.
I hope it's actually Canada.
All of Canada?
Yeah. Or just Trudeau, who is
Canada.
himself a spooky figure.
Hello.
Hello, Canada.
What's up?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
It's going. How are you?
Good, good. I just got a story about what I would call those spheres.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
All right, so when I was about like 5 or 6, I was at my grandma's house, sleeping in a sofa chair, just sitting upright and falling asleep. And what I remember is maybe falling asleep and maybe choking or suffocating. And the thing I remember the most, it's like one of those memories you like remember super, super vividly. And it's not like a dream. It's not like a admiration or anything. It's something that you feel like happened yesterday. That's how clear you can remember it.
Right.
But what happened was I was levitated out of a chair. I was floated across a room. And then I was dropped about 2 stories down 2 flights of stairs.
Whoa.
And when I was going down, it felt like when you're going through a roller coaster and you go into zero gravity, and you get that whole feeling of adrenaline throughout your body. I was dropping really, really slowly, but the feeling of that adrenaline was extreme. And when I stopped moving, it felt like my entire body exploded into like the smallest particles. And that was the end of the dream. But when I was levitating down, when I stopped moving, I could see 2 spheres. And one was in the middle of a doorway, and one was on the other side of 2 different walls. So I don't know how it was going on, but it's like you could see the light through 2 walls. And the size of the orbs were about 1.5 feet in diameter. And it was just completely white light.
That's wild.
Yeah, I don't know if it correlates with any of the other stories about what people are seeing these days, but this
It has.
this must have been in like 2000, maybe 99.
What do you think of all this? What do you think happened?
I have no idea. I kind of think I died,
Hmm.
and then this was kind of like the experience of dying, and somehow I didn't die because I wasn't supposed to die or something, or maybe it was some sort of abduction. I have no
Right.
idea what it was, but
Yeah, I
that's just
mean,
what happened.
it does sound, it does have the hallmarks of an abduction story in terms of the moving and the feeling and that zero gravity feeling. But it does remind us of other callers on the show, especially there's one caller who was about the same age, I believe, as you, and you said this happened when you were 5 or 6. We had a caller who kind of fell into a dream where he woke up into another place, like of crystals. That was weird. But we had 2 other callers who referenced this similar type of sphere. And one caller had the sphere visit him in his room, I think 2 nights in a row. And another caller who, I think he was high or something.
Had to be.
Right. I can't remember what happened, but he had this experience of going in and out of different lives. And he felt like he lived different lives, but he kept revisiting the sphere as if it was like a home base or a headquarters for something. So this
That was
weird
Gian,
sphere.
wasn't it? I
don't know if it was
I
Gian.
believe that man was higher than hell.
Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe that was Gian. Yeah.
That was a
the
drug
second
story.
call. Yeah. But that's to say that, this sphere image has been a recurring theme that people have. Maybe it is some sort of near-death experience or an abduction. Hard to say, but it's certainly weird, and other people have had similar stories. For that to happen at that age, it's weird. Especially the choking, suffocating thing is weird. And I think the guy who called, who said he was 5 or so when he went to the crystal place, he felt like he might have been choking or something with that pillow when he was falling asleep, or what he thought was falling asleep. So yeah, it's a weird one. And has anything like that happened to you since?
No, I've never seen them anything like it since, or I haven't really heard any other stories like it, like that exactly since.
Right.
But I've heard all these stories about the other spheres and stuff floating through the sky and ball of lightning and stuff like that.
How big did the sphere look to you?
Sorry, how big?
Yeah.
If you're looking at a doorway, it's about half the width of the doorway, but it was suspended in the middle.
Okay.
And then that was one of the orbs. And then the other orb I could see probably about 5 or 6 feet to the left. And it was through 2 different walls. And it was just drywall and lumber. But I don't know how I was seeing it, if it was like somehow coming through like dimensionally or some sort of, honestly, I have no idea, but it's just, I could see it through 2 different walls. It was very apparent, and then one was in the middle of a doorway or like a door frame.
And I'm sorry if you said this, but if you don't mind answering, what did they look like? Was there a certain pulsating thing to them, or a certain type of light that was changing?
No, they weren't pulsating. It was just like an orb of white light. There was no edge to it.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, it was like it was glowing white. Really, really hard to convey.
Right.
But white glowing, or glowing white.
Yep.
Just pure light.
And I believe that's how other people who've called in have described the orbs they've seen. Yeah, very interesting.
Wasn't actually that bright. It was like
dull,
like a dull but super, super bright glowing light at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
Weird.
Yeah, these orb stories are interesting, and they do have a lot of them share similarities with that, the way they look or move, or when you see them, like in it's like not a dream state, but it's almost like, if some of these people are describing like they were dead. It's odd. Wish I had an answer for you, but yeah.
And I wish I had an answer for myself. It goes through my mind all the time. Just remembering it better than like it happened yesterday.
Right.
Just going through your mind like you have a videographic memory.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially for something that happened so long ago.
Yeah, it was almost over 20 years ago.
Did you tell anybody when that happened, like a parent or anyone?
No, it was something that I knew happened, but I didn't really realize it was not common or something that didn't happen to everybody.
Mhm.
It's like waking up and seeing the sun come up. It's just like seeing these things.
Right.
It's like I never had the thought to mention it to. I think it was just like 5 or 6 or something at the time.
Do you feel like they were watching you? Like they were conscious?
Not really I don't know about conscious, but they were controlling the situation. Like they were the reason for me floating. Like they were floating me towards them or levitating me or some. I don't know if it was my soul or if it was my body, but I have no idea.
Well, we appreciate you calling in and sharing the story, man.
No worries, man. Have a good night, man.
You too.
Good night, Canada.
Good
Yeah,
night,
cheers,
Canada. Wild. If we have another caller, let's do another caller.
Yeah, we do. We got a few.
All right. We'll try to get through as many as we can before we close up shop for the week.
Really quick, I wanted to run this. This was sent to us by a fan, Project Mayhem on Twix, and this is just a quick demon caught on camera type deal that I wanted to play before the week's end here. So let's just get this out of the way. I have a couple of issues with this, but we'll address this in just a second. This supposedly shows a heat signature crawling on top of this man who is sleeping in a well-lit room, which I think is impossible. I don't know how people fall asleep with the light on, but they're narrating that the apparition appears to be choking this man, and then you will see a number of white orbs flying past the screen here. All recorded apparently around 11:30 at night on some particular date. One of my reservations is how the hell is this camera picking up a heat signature? He's got a camera recording a camera, so I don't know. It's possible maybe this thing had thermal capabilities. I don't know, but this video looks kind of old. And it's hard to kind of get a better zoom, so I'm sure it's hard for everybody to see. But the orbs thing, you see 1, 2, 3, 4 orbs go past this guy here. There's another one there. And I thought it was interesting with how we've been just getting into orbs so much lately that this video popped up. I don't. What's your take on this?
I wonder why. They must be studying him. He must have experienced sleep
That's what I mean. I would
and
think that it's one of those situations where they're like, "Hey, I've been having weird stuff go on, in the house, and I've seen this where they set up cameras and stuff and kind of just record your daily life just to kind of catch stuff happening that you can't explain." But
so many people have very similar stories when it comes to sleep paralysis and something strange visiting them. So I don't discount all those stories. There's so many. I had my own,
It says that too in the video in the descriptor here that it's caught on camera during sleep paralysis. So I mean, is this guy, more questions arise from that. Is this guy having, rapid onset, sleep paralysis? Does he have it tuned to, a fork at this point? Like, does he know he's going to have it? Does he have it that often that they can predict it?
There are people who say they have it a lot, which is terrible. I've only had it that once, and that was terrible. And I saw something dancing in the ceiling in that old house I was just telling you all about with the shadow hand. So it looks interesting. The orbs are interesting, but it's like these days they can fake everything. It's so hard to tell. But like I said, it's hard to discount a lot of these stories because there's so many stories like that people have, and they are similar.
He also threw this U-boats thing at us, which just really quick shows that Hitler's Navy once terrorized Texas Gulf Coast for months on end.
Yep.
So there's a little backup to
Sergeant's
story last night that they have an active U-boat base. What did he say, near Houston, was it?
Yes.
2995, I believe he said it was.
Yep.
And one up in New York somewhere in Montauk.
Yep. We'll get to Peyton again, I'm sure. We do have more questions for the Sarge. It was a good talk last night. For those who don't know what we're talking about, we 2 nights in a row, last night and the night before, received a phone call from a gentleman who claims to be a sergeant in the Fourth Reich, knows about a base 211 below Antarctica where there's 8 million people operating. There was the wars we've talked about possibly happening in Antarctica with Operation High Jump. And he claims that during one of these battles between the Americans and the Nazis who took over Antarctica, we dropped an atom bomb, but they threw it back up into space where it is now in orbit. There's an atom bomb floating around in space. And he told us last night, like we heard from Brandon in the beginning of this episode, I asked if Hitler was still alive, and he said yes, but he took a flying saucer to Mars. instead of a U-boat to Argentina.
Up
I was
yours,
thinking-
Elon Musk.
Yeah. So we'll hear from the Sarge again. I'm sure he has a lot to say about U-boats, secret bases in America. And he says that they're actually peaceful now and, just doing their own thing and want to be left alone. It's a lot of people underneath Antarctica who just want to be left alone.
It's a night and day difference.
But yeah, night and day difference. Well, everyone's rebranding now, so why not them?
We want everyone to be like us. Now we just want to be left alone.
Yeah. And he said that Hitler's on Mars just like undergoing a ton of experiments to
Yeah,
stay alive
Hitler's
because he
still
must
on
be
Mars.
he's like 130 now or something. I haven't done the math. I don't keep up on Hitler age. But let's get to another caller.
Back to the phones. We got Opie. You are on Inverted World Live. What's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Yeah, I just it rolled in after Simcast, and I figured I'd call in. You guys do ghost stories?
Yeah, man.
Do all kinds of stories.
Sweet. Well, yeah. So I used to work catering over at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, and I remember one night we were closing up. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning. I forget what show it was, but yeah. So closing up, walking upstairs, and I saw like the legs of a little girl with like old time shoes, like the white and black shoes, and like ankle size socks or ankle height socks with like a little like decoration on like the heel area.
Mm-hmm.
And I told some of the guys that worked there for years on the union guys, and yeah. Anyway, they said they've been seeing the same thing for like 20 years.
Oh, wow. Whereabouts did you see it in the place, and was there any sound associated with it?
There was no like stepping sounds, but like so like going into the Greek, there's like this old like 1930s elevator that brings up all the equipment to the stage. And once you get off the elevator, you go up to there's like 2 flights of stairs that go up into like the old basement. Like there's a whole history of like Griffith Park and who used to live there. A lot of hauntings going on there apparently. But yeah, so it's kind of like leading up into like where the backstage green rooms are there.
Okay. Did the union guys have any ideas as to what or who they were?
No, but I told one of my buddies that I was working there for like a year and a half. First time I've heard stories about things in the past, but I went up there and double checked all the rooms. I went to one of you guys like, hey, was someone else upstairs? I thought it cleared out, cleared up all the rooms, but I saw like a little girl. Was like, is there someone here? And he's like, oh no, like yeah, I forget what name he said. This is a few years ago now, before the pandemic and whatnot. But they made it seem like it was like a pretty regular thing if you worked there for some time.
And there were other hauntings there, like stories from other people or anything you observed?
Not me, but I have heard from guys there that there was like a headless horseman dude. That sounds
Nice.
crazy to say.
No,
But
I
yeah,
like
I
it.
guess there used to be an old like the Los Feliz Ranch. Ties back to that. Someone stole the land. Some land capture vibe through someone signing a will at their deathbed. So I started looking into some of the stories behind Griffith Park, up in old Hollywood, Griffith's Greek Theater where that's at. So we built in like 1929, I believe, like that. But yeah, there's definitely been several hauntings in that area. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
Incredible. Well, we really appreciate you calling in, man. Have a great night.
Yeah, you as well.
Awesome. That's a good setting for a haunting. Big old Greek theater. Well, do we have any other callers?
Yes.
So we're not going to get through everyone, I take it?
We are not.
Okay, so we'll try. We'll take another. We'll just keep going with it. For those we don't get to, I hope you call back on Monday. We will be back in the studio at 10 o'clock at night Eastern time, and we'll take your calls then, but we'll try to get 1 or 2 more now.
Yep. And we're getting a pretty decent amount of new guys today.
Cool.
I want to keep it rolling. So I want to bring on Paul Ammons. He's been waiting here for a second. And as usual, if we don't get to you tonight, we'll get to you Monday. Just give us a call back. Paul, you are on Inverted World Live. What is up? Hello, Mr. Paul.
Paul, are you there? Sometimes I get worried they get captured by some entity. It's like,
Yeah.
I feel guilty.
Hello?
Paul, yeah, we can hear you.
What's up?
Can you hear us? Uh-oh.
What is going on tonight?
Spooky night with the calls.
This isn't working.
We can sort of hear you.
Yeah, I can kind of hear you.
If you have
Hello?
the show on in the background, maybe mute that. We can hear you, though.
Paul, can you hear us?
The forces are blocking this, I guess. Dude, it's not working.
You are here now, so if you can hear us, we can hear you. But if you want, we can try again.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get this to work.
Oh, well, we got a second, everybody.
Hello?
Oh.
Yes, we can hear you,
us?
sir. Uh-oh. Paul, we could hear you, but you keep disappearing. Maybe you can't hear us too well. Brandon, if you wanted to say something.
Yeah, like, subscribe, follow, share the show with everybody that you know. We are working on getting Paul on here, but we are having some technical difficulties, so bear with us a second.
That should not have done that. Come on.
We do hear you.
I don't know if he knows that we can hear him.
That might be the thing.
That's weird.
This is weird.
Nothing.
All right, I guess we'll try back.
All right, Paul, we're going to toss you back in the waiting room.
Paul,
if we got time, we'll come back to you.
If you're listening to the show, I'm sorry. We could hear you.
Hello?
Hello?
That's weird.
Yeah, I hear him playing back now. All right. We are going to go to another caller.
Sorry, Paul.
We'll get to you again, Paul.
You're not the only one. It's happened before. Zoom is weird sometimes. But hopefully we get you back on the show.
All right. Let's go to the last Tavnasian.
All right.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, is this can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What's going on?
Welcome to the show.
Awesome. So I got two things for you. First of all, first is a theory, and second is a personal story of mine, a demonic assassination attempt.
Cool.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So the theory is, and this is just my opinion. I don't really have. Take it with a huge grain of salt. So you were talking about before about the thought that if it were possible, us essentially creating our own demons.
Mm-hmm.
I developed a theory kind of a while back that like so evil and demonic forces, their primary power, or if you will, is that of deception. And so if somebody gives their time and attention and essentially, I mean, worship for lack of a better term, to an idea or a thing, that thing can then become a source of
You're referring to manifestation?
I'm failing here to really describe what I'm talking about, but like I'll take an example, and I don't want to make any enemies here, but in say like Hispanic Catholicism, you see a lot of like the candles with the white Jesus
right
on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that isn't that isn't a biblical image of Christ, but you have a percentage of the population that essentially treats that as the truth. They worship that form of Jesus, but it isn't Jesus at all. It's a manufactured, like a man-made image, if you will.
Right. Christ was said to have been more of a darker skin, like Egyptian, whatnot, in color.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're saying that that's part of the deception in your view?
Yeah. So, I just, I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this, but it's just a theory I have that, like, yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's a false image of, Christ or any other thing. It's if people focus their time and attention and religiosity, I suppose, on a thing, that thing can be inhabited by evil, an evil spirit. And I don't know.
Well, it's like
I said, it's just a theory. I'm not I'm not trying to put forth any kind of authority behind. This is it's just something to think about.
Well, it's kind of like the idea of false idols, right? People worshiping things they shouldn't.
Yeah, crossed with what it basically sounds like you're saying is that it is possible to put forth energies into something and have it manifest into something physical, or metaphysical, depending on what.
Yep. And I agree with you on the deception aspect as well. Deception is a constant through evil on this planet, and it's always trying to get you to believe in this or that, and it's for the wrong reasons. And that is, that you can look at that in everything, politics, all this stuff. It's the propaganda for war. Everyone's trying to deceive you to own your point of view.
Yeah.
But if you want to continue with your demonic assassination attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am a Christian. I have been my whole life. And many years ago, I was in my youth group. I started what we were referring to as a spiritual warfare prayer group. And we would gather. We'd gather at our church and pray before we walked out onto the streets of our city. And we were just walking a group and visit different locations around the city that had one form or another a type of negative influence, I suppose, in the city. One prime example was there was a liquor store not too far from where my church was, and right across the street was an Alcoholics Anonymous. And so we gathered as a group in front of the liquor store and prayed prayed for the people that visit there, that they would not succumb to addiction and all of that. And then we crossed the street to the Alcoholics Anonymous and prayed for the people that do struggle with, addiction, that they would be able to break it and not be tempted by. And at the time in Washington State, the alcohol was a state-run thing that basically it was the Washington State Liquor Board. I don't know how it works in other states, but it was one way in Washington State, and then a law was changed, and now it's more sales tax is still accrued or whatever through that, but through purchase. But it's no longer a state-run thing. Okay. Anyway, so we prayed for those that were attending Alcoholics Anonymous, that AA would be able to help them and all that. Within a month, the state-run Washington State Liquor Board office, the place where you go in and you buy all your hard alcohol, it didn't go out of business. They just moved location to a different location, but it was nowhere near the Alcoholics Anonymous. So it's like it was the temptation was removed from that situation. So if you were somebody going to AA, you no longer had that temptation right there in front of you every single time you went. So I consider that a tangible example of our prayer group,
making some
approaching heaven and having, a positive effect, Yeah. Anyway, so a while in, and I'm sorry for dragging this on.
Go for it. You're fine.
But anyway, I was working a graveyard shift at a local warehouse, and I came home from work one morning and really tired. I just went straight to bed and immediately went into just a really, really deep sleep. And as I was sleeping, I started to become gradually more and more aware of a malevolent presence wrapping itself around my head and forcing my soul out of my body, down through my bed, through the floor, and gradually peeling me effectively apart from my body and forcing me down this like an endless bottomless well. There was no light. It was cold, dark, and essentially, whatever connotation you have with the term pit of hell was where I was being ripped out of my body and pushed into. The malevolence of this presence is not something that I can describe in words. It was specifically there to kill me. And as this is happening, I started hearing what sounded like a phone ringing. Like we didn't have my roommates and I didn't have we had cell phones, but they were it was such a new thing that we still had like a landline in the apartment. And it sounded like the phone ringing, but in like it was miles away, and it was a long, slow, drawn out ringing, and then it just kept going and ending and going and ending and going and ending. And finally, at some point, I snapped out of my sleep, and I'm just exhausted, like I've been fighting for my life. And I hear the phone ringing. It's actually the phone. I get up, and I'm just stumbling out of my room to get to the phone. At that time, if the phone rang like 3 times, it automatically went to voicemail. And anyway, I pick up the phone, and it's my roommate, and I can't describe to you like what this guy's personality was. He's very selfish, very arrogant. If you try and ask him, it's like, say you want to organize with him to plan something for the weekend. He doesn't want you digging into his business, so he's like, how dare you ask me, whatever. He was calling the house to let me know that he was on his way home from work, which makes absolutely no sense. He'd never done that before or since. It was 100% outside of his personality or character to do something like that. It didn't make sense to me then. It doesn't make sense to me now. But the fact that he called at all, I think, was the thing that the phone ringing, I think, is what woke me up. And I can only consider it an act of God that in that situation I was essentially spared what I was going through at that moment.
When you were describing the sensation of being peeled apart, I think you said, was there pain involved with that?
No, it was more of like a staticky, like if you could feel what Velcro feels like, if you it felt like Velcro being pulled apart.
Talk about that
like if you're
tingly feeling in your foot when it falls asleep.
Not like yeah, not like a
Like a static.
I mean, I suppose kind of like that. It's yeah, it was strange, but it wasn't painful.
And can you describe what it looked like?
I couldn't see the entity itself.
Mm-hmm.
I just everything was darkness. And then like the area below me that I was being forced into was completely devoid of energy. It was it I mean, it was like, you know, there were, it's like there were walls around, like a certain, well, I don't know. The only light there was from above, and it was very dim. And then it was like it was basically like looking face first down into a well or a pit, like with no bottom.
Were there sounds coming out of it or anything?
No.
Just the darkness.
Yeah.
Well, that's wild. That's a wild story, and I like the detail of the roommate who's selfish, randomly calling you and helping you, almost like a literal landline, pulling you out of that fight with the demon. Well, glad you're here. Glad you survived. We appreciate the phone call, sir.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Take care.
Scary. A lot of scary stories out there. Well, wow. It is past midnight. That is crazy. This show flies by because we're having fun. It's amazing. Like, I'm so grateful to everyone who calls in. Your stories are always... We go home wired.
Yeah.
I can't just go to sleep because I'm thinking about all these stories. But Brandon, before we head out, let them know where they can find you.
I am Brandon Miner. You can find me on Twitter and on Insta at Brando Inverted. Don't forget to keep questioning everything. And as always, stay weird. We'll see you next week.
Thank you all so much for calling in. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing the show. Really, really grateful to everyone who's showing support. You can find me online at Shane Cashman. We will be back next week. See you guys then. Have a great weekend. Later.